This is the Khmer Times News. My name is Paolo Bonini, and these are your headlines. Energy drinks are banned, and we take a closer look. The bodies mount as yet more hit-and-run drivers kill the innocent. And a man steals big with his Tontin scheme. But firstly, it's a headline story, and it's all about energy drinks, which may seem to be rather a tepid subject to lead into a news show. But a headline this week showed how very serious the government is on stopping kids from consuming them. The headline read, "Ministry bans energy drink sales in schools nationwide." And that may seem a little harsh. After all, they are just a fizzy refreshment, surely. Well, no, they are not. They are an exceedingly powerful mix of high doses of sugar and excessive amounts of caffeine. And what you really need to remember is caffeine is really potent stuff. The Addiction Centre warns very clearly that caffeine can get habit forming very fast indeed. And the withdrawals include severe depression, headaches, and body tremors. Have a think about it. Many colas that are now sugar-free have added extra caffeine, and some say that is to get you hooked. It all sounds very much like the cigarette companies back in the 1950s, marketing a product they knew could be very unhealthy indeed. And it's not just Cambodia that is taking a long, hard look at energy drinks due to diabetes being on the rise. Many countries have banned them or severely restricted them. Those countries include the United Kingdom, France, Denmark, Sweden, Turkey, Norway, Uruguay, UAE, Iceland, and many, many more countries are now looking at restricting their sale. So it's quite reassuring to see a country such as Cambodia is leading the way in protecting children from the harmful effects of these drinks. And if you still are not convinced, the BBC has reported this year that the very latest research paints an even darker picture, saying that these caffeine-laden drinks and their addictive nature have led to not only increased violence in children, but also numerous suicides. And does it not seem just a little strange that so much marketing of these drinks seems to be directly targeted at a younger audience? Just look at the cans themselves. Is it really a coincidence that they are nearly always marketing themselves with cartoons? The exact type of marketing that would appeal to school children? Caffeine or any addictive substance in kids is not a good idea. And now with this ban, it is hoped that diabetes and obesity within the nation's youth can be brought under control. On this week's Crime Desk, we have many a tale of death, but all is on one subject, as it's the never-ending curse of the deadly hit-and-run drivers. And we start with this headline, one that really does catch the eye. Drunk driver drags dead man for 100 meters in Phnom Penh. I mean, just think about that. Dragging a dead body under a car for over 100 meters is truly horrifying. But I can make it even worse for you, as the photos that accompany this story leave us in absolutely no doubt at all as to how bad this incident was. Here we see the vehicle itself after the accident. The damage done to it by a solitary moto driver is almost unbelievable. The reason for such damage is the driver hit the motorbike at such speed he completely wrote off his big new shiny car, which was a rather expensive Lexus NX 200T. The horrific accident took place at midnight in front of the Total gas station on Road 182 in Phnom Penh. The motorcyclist was hit at an intersection and his body went under the car. He was dragged along the road and he died in the most horrific way imaginable, his body being torn up by the tarmac. When the driver was detained, he was found to be way over the legal limit and was drunk after a long night out on the town. The very latest update on this story is reassuring, as it has now been announced that the 30-year-old driver has already been charged with drunk driving and causing the death of a fellow motorist. He is now awaiting his trial date at the municipal court. And now we move on to our next case. This was the headline. It reads, "Woman dies after being crushed in attempted hit and run." And with this one, we just need to look at the photos to tell this particular story. Here we can see the lady's bike. It is well and truly wedged under the lorry, and the circumstances of her death are remarkably similar to our first case. The truck literally went over the motorcyclist, and the bike driver had absolutely no chance of walking away alive. But the horror of her death only becomes apparent when we look at other photos from the crime scene. For when we step back, we see what truly happened. The accident occurred when the 31-year-old woman from Takao province visited the capital. She was heading home late at night. It was 3 a.m. to be exact. She never guessed it would be her last ride ever. For at the junction of Road 271, she was hit by the truck and she slipped under its giant metal body. And she died an agonizing death. The driver had slammed on his brakes and he stepped out of his cab and he saw the bike under the lorry, but he did not try to help the victim. He frantically looked around and seeing nobody about, he ran. But his flight from justice was brief, as later that very night, the military police caught up with him. And the driver has now been charged with the death and he awaits his trial. This next case of hit and run has our victim surviving, but being terribly mutilated. The headline on this one reads, "Man loses arm in Phnom Penh hit and run." Now, losing an arm will destroy the rest of your life, seeing as so much work in the kingdom very much revolves around manual labour. And very much so if you're a tuk-tuk driver, as this man was. The latest report states the man is still in a critical condition in a Phnom Penh hospital after he lost his arm when his tuk-tuk was smashed into by a speeding driver. The incident took place at 5:15 a.m. on Road 271. Sources say that the victim was driving his tuk-tuk to a local market in order to buy vegetables before he went to work. Witnesses say suddenly a speeding Hyundai truck appeared and it came roaring down the road. It smashed directly into the tuk-tuk, splintering it into thousands of pieces and devastating it. The man was very seriously injured and rushed to a nearby hospital by ambulance. The driver of the truck did the traditional. He attempted to flee the scene, leaving his victim bleeding out on the tarmac. But he did not get far, as he was chased down and restrained by passers-by. Well done to them. And he was held until authorities arrived and arrested him. He is yet another to answer to a judge. And finally, let's have our fourth and final tale. And do keep in mind, all these incidents are from 1 week alone. I have not been hoarding them up like some demented accident-loving squirrel. The headline reads, "Man dies in Phnom Penh cement truck hit and run." Now, it's hard to think of anything worse than being hit by a cement truck. The only thing I could come up with is a tank. What is known for certain is a man will not be going home to his family, as he died instantly after he was crushed in the horrifying accident. The incident itself took place at 11:15 p.m. near the newly built Khmer Tan O flyover in Phnom Penh. Shocked bystanders recounted how they had witnessed the cement truck turning into Road 270, where it struck a moto rider. The impact was so severe that it killed the motorist instantly when he was crushed under the wheels of the cement lorry. Again, a similar pattern emerged as the driver of the lorry did not render aid. He jumped out of his cab and he took flight into the night. And unlike our other featured cases, this one has no end. Not for this man's grieving family, at least. As so far, the driver has not been identified and he is not been apprehended. So the family grieves, not knowing if or when justice will be served. Let us finish off this week with a story of justice served, and that is the arrest of a Tontin kingpin who has been arrested over a $138,000 fraud. Now, I have to admit, I have no idea what a Tontin scheme is, so I looked it up. And if you're not sure either, here is your explanation. A Tontin is an investment scheme where shareholders are supposed to derive profit whilst they are alive, but the value of each share goes to other participants on their death. In this particular scam, the man who set up this Tontin scheme embezzled nearly $140,000, and he has rather an odd career, as the 37-year-old male was in fact a metal worker in central Phnom Penh, as was his 23-year-old wife, who is being sought by the police because she's gone on the run. As is usual, the fraudulent scheme promised to pay its depositors exceedingly high rates of interest, but was in fact a simple Ponzi scheme. Later investors pay earlier investors until the whole chain collapses due to no new investors. It is said, when confronted, the suspect had refused to pay any of the money back, and it is only then that those investors went to the police. Now, this kind of scam is getting worryingly common, like the Brilliance City scam earlier this year that affected over 6,000 families and netted the owner a staggering $300 million. But be it hundreds of millions or a few $1,000, the rules are always the same. If it sounds too good to be true, that's because it is. Never be greedy with investments and always look for a trusted name. It's time to have a look ahead and see what the weather has in store for us next week. And here we are at the weather, and also my picture of the week of what I've been up to, just to make the weather a bit more interesting. And what you're looking at is a wonderful altar at a pagoda I came across in the countryside. And what I love about this is the colours. It's very much like a warm fireside on a winter's day. All those lovely, beautiful ambers. And when I saw it, I went, gosh, I think I've got weird eyes, you know. Because when I look at colours, they just look so much stronger than everyone else seems to be noticing, because I get way too carried away. But carry away the picture. For now, it's the weather itself. And what we see is, well, we've got sunshine, predominantly a bit of cloud, and a smidgen, yes, that's right, just a smidgen of rain. The temperatures are going to hit a maximum of 34, but that humidity is creeping up. It's getting to about 65%. This has been the Khmer Times News. Please do subscribe and comment and stay up to date with all the breaking news by following us on both Facebook and Telegram. This has been Paolo Bonini, and that was the week that was. I'll see you next weekend for your weekly Roundup.